Maybe it changes. Okay. Looks like we're up. Hello, world. Welcome to Grimshaws Tavern, part of the Pernicious Chronicles series of world building and lore. Gonna ride solo today. I thought about having some people on, but kind of ran out of time, short on time, so just gonna do a real quick video on a few things. But first, hope everybody's having a good day. Today is Monday? Yes, Monday. Tomorrow is the first episode of the antecedent campaign, followed by episode 11 on Wednesday of the Destiny campaign. And it's going to be interesting. Wednesday's campaign, they found out that they were going up against not just a regular Mind Flayer, but a Mind Flayer Alloon, which is a lich, sort of, kind of, but not really, because it doesn't have a phylactery. This one has something else. But yeah, so anyway, today, Grimshaws Tavern, we are going to talk about the races of Eableon, in particular. Not necessarily the other continents just yet. I'm going to keep the focus on Eableon. But before I go there, let's start the stream out with this. The giveaway, as it were. So far, still got one entrant, and that is, anyway, I'm not even going to say who it is. Yeah, so the giveaway is, I'm giving away 2 5e books, Tales of the Unknown Portal, Tomb of Annihilation when it comes out. The drawing's going to be held on the 18th, if I remember correctly. Can't even get my, yes, it's right there on my damn screen. The 18th of September after the stream. But I'm also giving away a TPC shirt, your size, and then 3 guest spots in any of the episodes of your choosing, for the Destiny campaign or the Antecedents campaign. You purchase tickets through in-game gold, get by following, playing mini games, and all that kind of fun stuff, and hosting as well. But yeah, so anyway, let's move on to what we're here to talk about today. The races of Eableon. I went through and looked at all the different publications. Actually, no, I found it online. Let's be real here. But I did go through the list, and I was looking at all the different playable races. Now, there's going to be a bunch of races that obviously they can't play, and then we'll get to that at another time. But for this one in particular, let me pull up something real quick before I miss it. Okay. Alright, anyway. So I want to start out with, I'm going to jump around on the list. This is going to be like part 1 of probably 4 to 5 videos, maybe depending on how long this goes. But I wanted to focus on like maybe 3 or 4 at a time, instead of doing like the whole list, because that can get lengthy and confusing. So let's start out with the Aarakocra. Now, Kree from the Destiny campaign kind of brought the Aarakocra in to Eableon. So go into our map, and if you looked where the ruins of Dragon's Bluff, that is kind of the area that her specific species of Aarakocra are from. Now I've decided that I'm going to stick to the whole bird theme, clearly because they are birds, but she made hers kind of like a barn owl. So I decided that I was going to continue that. So you have the owl type Aarakocra, and I might even go so far as to split it up to where each one kind of gets their own thing. Haven't really decided on that one yet. It's funny because she said that she doesn't have night vision, or dark vision, so that might be something that pops up into play later on. But anyway, the Aarakocra, the owl version, is from the Whitefall Cliffs. Yes, that's the area that's next to Dragon's Bluff. And I'm continue with the bird theme. I'm gonna go with a raven from the Night Glades. So raven type Aarakocra. Figured I'd stick with the whole like darkness theme with them. We have the hawk and then the eagle. So the hawk, I think I'm gonna go with like a mountain range, even though they could live and dwell in forests too. Now this isn't anywhere like I'm giving them specifics for like their major colonies, but they can have like smaller, I guess, flocks in different areas of the world. So the main, like the Hawk version, is from the Iron Top Mountains, and the Eagles would be from the Hellstorm Highlands. Uh, and I might even go so far as to say like the Eagles version is, you know, much bigger than the Hawks or something like that. Maybe the Hawk is faster. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he gets a better attack with his claws. But then again, that would go against the bald eagle because or the eagle version because he's pretty big too. But anyway, so yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do, kind of like to separate little things. Now, that's not to say that's the only versions either. If you think about it, you could have all kinds of different versions. You could have the sparrow. You could have, hell, you could have a parakeet, or or something like that from different parts of the world. So it's all left open, and it really depends on what the player wants their character to be. Because you have the base Aarakocra, and then they can put like their own flavor onto it, and that's kind of where she went with the barn owl thing, or at least that's what I'm thinking. And then you can work with the player and determine, like a subspecies type ability, or like an advantage, or even a disadvantage if you wanted to. That would probably be a good one for an owl. So yeah, I was thinking a disadvantage on like the barn owls. But the funny thing is, I think of an owl, like a barn owl, as being small. Her character is like 6'7". But anyway, so that's the first one on the list. But I'm actually gonna type all that up on here real quick on my little list of Aarakocra. Uh-oh, lost my thing. Hope everybody's having a good night. I see you there, Ken. Ken is hiding. I'm gonna show you this. Got some, actually some good news is we passed all the requirements to be an affiliate, so we have that thing going for us now, and we actually have customized emotes, which I might not reveal just yet. I might wait until tomorrow. That'll be fun. Yes, you are. I see you there. And I'm still alive, by the way. I haven't been on Discord lately, so that's why I'm not there. Aarakocra. Okay, so let's go with white. What do we say? White Falls Cliffs is owl. Deep night. Hope you're having a good weekend, by the way. Tomorrow's gonna be fun. The first episode. Got a lot in store for you guys. Ravens. So we said Nightglades for the Ravens. Ravens. Now there's other races too that live in these areas, and then we'll get those as we come across them. Said iron. Let's see. What did it say it was? Iron Tops. Iron Top Mountains are hawks, and that actually might be a good episode one day to like go into those and go ahead and come up with the things. But I might do it on the side and then kind of do an overlay of it later. And the Hailstorm Highlands. Oops, I can't spell today. I can't spell any day. Hailstorm Highlands are... Now, here's a question. Do we want to say they're like standard like brown eagle, or do we want to go like all out with a bald eagle type? Let's go with brown eagle for now. We'll reserve the bald eagle for special occasions. Alright. Now, the Aasimar, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, it could be both. So we're gonna move on. Sorry, we're gonna move on from the Aarakocra for now. I just wanted to kind of give it like an overview in my thoughts kind of populate the world with different races and stuff. So the Aasimar don't exist at the moment. Why? Because they're divine touched and there's no deities. Well, not really anymore. So to stick to everything, like the whole no deities thing, the Aasimar don't exist. I'm going to skip the deep gnomes. Dragonborns actually are pretty interesting in this time because previous to the dragon onslaught, they were plentiful. And they come from all over the world. It's kind of like, humans and everything. Humans, half-elves, with the exception of elves. I'll get to them in a second. What's the other ones? Tieflings? You can even say tieflings. But all your core races kind of don't necessarily have homes. They're kind of spread out. But they might have like wood elves, clearly, forest, that kind of stuff. But you can find them in more than just one spot. So the Dragonborn were everywhere. And then after the dragon onslaught, everybody feared dragons. So the Dragonborns were kind of hunted down, kind of like a whole, hate crimes, war crimes, stuff like that. So it wasn't a good time for the Dragonborn, and that's why they're so rare to see now. They exist. Most of them are in hiding. And it's actually, if he ever tells you guys, if you ever get the backstory of it, what's his name? Ragnar? What did Ethan? I can't even think of what he named his character. But anyway, his new character was a former Dragonborn. So he's got a whole history there. So that's actually going to be interesting once it starts to reveal itself. Mountain and hill dwarves, clearly, that's no brainer. Dugar dwarves. I think at some point I'm gonna have to develop some kind of like underworld, or something similar to like an Underdark setting, just because of people want to play Drow, they want to play, those types of environments. And I was thinking about this today, about the Drow. It's like, who necessarily says they have to come from the Underdark? I think it's Eberron has them coming from jungles. I think there's an Underdark section. I'm not really sure about Eberron, but I know there was the jungles. Started with the X, I think. I can't really remember. But anyway, there was like a sect of Drow that come from there. So it would be something similar to that. But I was thinking like a desert. Not trying to rewrite the book, but just doing something a little different. Because when I think of like creatures that live underground, I don't think dark skin, like gray skin like they have. I think they always have like pale skin. So I was thinking like kind of reskinning the Drow, sort of. They're still Drow, but maybe they look not as like grayish, but more tannish, like very dark tan. Or I could leave it. I don't know yet. I could just write them out all together, but I already have a Drow, so I have to keep it. So I guess at some point I have to do an Underdark type thing. High elves, wood elves, Eladrins. Now, wood elves clearly are going to have a, their own kind of empire going on. And I'm thinking actually on our map here, in the top right corner of Eberron. Jesus, are you serious? Eableon. Holy crap, that is so similar. I did not realize that. Wow. Anyway, that was like a revelation. So, Eableon. In the top right corner of the continent, there's a forest that I haven't named yet, and I was actually thinking of naming that the Copperwood Forest because I introduced a Copperwood shield and I was talking about the forest a little bit. So I might plug that in there and have that like a separate kingdom of wood elves. They kind of like do their own thing. Nobody messes with them because you can't really destroy their forest. You have to have like special magic weapons or axes and stuff and saws to take down these Copperwood trees because they're almost impervious, is the way I'm wanting to design this. So it's a wood, but almost like a metal. Yeah. Anyway, so that's got to be probably my wood elf colony on Eableon. There might be a few others kind of mixed in here and there, but nothing as big as that one. And then, of course, across the to the west, you have the Trotol Dryads and stuff like that, where there could be elves there because Dryads and elves would get along because they're all about forests and that kind of fun stuff. Now, High Elves and Eladrins are going to be mainly from another continent. Zendrick is an island with jungles and Underdark. Oh, see? Yes, but I knew it was an X. I remember it was an X. So it is a jungle and an Underdark. But there is like some kind of Scorpion Drow or Scorpion Clan Drow or something. Because I remember because I had a mini of him and he was like dressed in bone armor or something. And he had some boomerangs, I think it was, or something. I don't know, I could be wrong. But yes, so Zendrick. Or I don't even know if that's how you even pronounce it. That's what I'm going with. High Elves and Eladrin are going to be mainly from the continent of Kalari, which is off to the east. And that was the last place in the Dragon Onslaught, and that's actually where the Vortex is currently like kind of covering it to keep the demons and devils at bay. So the majority of those elves got wiped out by the Lyceum and the dragons and the demons and devils. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. But that's not to say that there's not any here. Some could have escaped. They could have made their home elsewhere. But for what the players know and what the world knows, that's what happened. That's where they were from. And that's kind of where I want to leave that at right now, because it leaves me room to write them in later or to change something, which is kind of like the way I DM. I like to have enough information, but I don't want to put a lot of things in writing because it allows me the freedom to change it as we go. Because I think on the Destiny campaign, I've probably changed the main plot line without anybody knowing, probably at least 6 times. With the most recent being between the last episode and now. And it's not changing it to where it doesn't make sense. It's changing it based on the players, their decisions. So, yeah. But anyway, let's go back. Okay. Firebolg. Bolg. Don't know yet. I have to come back to that one. I'm going to highlight that one. Let's change that one. That's for a later date. Let's make him red. That's brighter red. Let's go with that red. Okay. Genocide. Ganazi. Or whatever the hell you want to call him. I call him Genocide. Not chocolate desserts. So the air one we've actually already touched on a lot. The main colonies are actually 2, and I wrote it down somewhere. I don't remember where. I think it's on the website somewhere. There's actually like 2 flying citadels where there's like colonies of air genocide. We're not 100% sure based on lore if they are slaves to these tyrants, these storm giants, or if they willingly work with them. Maybe they're giving them some kind of power or protection. So air genocide are on these flying citadels. Occasionally, like in the case of like a player character or something, maybe they get left behind, or maybe they don't agree with the society rules or law. So that's why they would leave that. Fire, earth, and water, I'm not going to touch just yet because I kind of want to wait until somebody plays one of the characters. And because the other thing is like with the Aarakocra, and when Jess made Kree, she made it into this barn owl. So it became hers. This little cliff with this tribe or this flock of these barn owl Arakakra was hers, and she feels like more part of the world than just if I would have said, okay, hey, this is where you're from, this is what you are. So that's why a lot of this is still open, but some of it is still is written, but open, like with the air genocide. There could be like another, like I said, another little small community somewhere. So it's not definite, but it leaves it like it gives you a little bit of a background to it. Gnomes, gnomes and halflings. Those are probably my least favorite races, but unfortunately they're everywhere, so I have to have them. I don't actually, but I do. So gnomes don't really have a single home. They like to tinker. They like to wander. I could, I guess, at some point make it like a main home, but in the case of like Tilly's character, he was an orphan, so he kind of, I can't remember if he got left with the dwarves or if he like kind of wandered there. I have to go back and look at my notes, but either way, he grew up with the dwarves, so he kind of had this background. He's a gnome, but he thinks like a dwarf. But at the moment, there's no definitive like, oh, this is, you know, a home for you type thing. Now there are two other continents that I haven't touched on. Like you have Eableon, you have Kalari, and then there's two other continents. So at some point, it could end up there. Goblins. Now, goblins are another kind of common creature, but I have given the Sarot goblins and hobgoblins a home in the vast flatlands. It's a huge kingdom if you think about it in relation to I guess where the Destiny campaign is taking place, and then where the Antecedents campaign is going to be taking place. It's pretty large, but they're surrounded by natural barriers. You have the sea to the west, you have this centaur-filled forest to the east, you have a mountain range to the both north and south. So they don't really venture out of that. Since Dragon Onslaught, they have Rydell Keep when it fell, which is the there's a castle or a keep that's between the Bronze Mountains and the Grey Rock Highlands. That was kind of like the only, I guess, path you could say out, or at least easy path. So once that keep fell, they kind of like ventured further south, but they haven't like tried to take over anything. They're just, you can find them there, which the party has ran into them, because they're also kind of like mercenaries, or at least they were for hire for that purpose. So goblins, hobgoblins would fall into that range. What's some other goblinoids? I think there's like one or two more. That might be on the list. Now, other goblins you could probably find in forests and swamps and all that kind of stuff. But these particular ones, since it's like flatlands, there's not a lot of shade. They have this deep orange skin and black hair and stuff like that. So they're very identifiable. And they have the little yellow, I think it's yellow beady yellow eyes. So I think that's what I had them as. Alright, Goliaths. That is from, we're going to highlight that one right too. To me, Goliath is not so much of a standard race, but they're going to be, like, especially in the Destiny campaign, it would be easier to come across a Goliath than it would be a Dragonborn. Sorry. Okay. Halflings. Now, one thing I did want to look at, I saw this Ghostwise halfling, and I'm trying to remember which one that was. I might have to come back to that one, because the way it sounds, that would be a good one to go into the forest with the centaurs. if they have like the abilities that I'm thinking of. But like your standard Lightfoot and Stout halflings, you're going to be able to find those all over the world. They're kind of, to me, a halfling is kind of like a human in a lot of regards when it comes to society. Even the city of Serenity, which I'll get to in a minute, it has actually quite a bit of halflings. Once I did the, like, I'll get to it in a second. I'm digressing. Half elves, half orcs, the same thing. Hobgoblins, we already talked about them. You would be able to find those throughout the world, except for the Siralt goblins. Excuse me. Humans, standard and variants, same thing. Now, Kinku. Here's a very interesting thing I just thought about, because I didn't think about this. And this is one of the important things of world building. You gotta think. Kinku are a lot like ravens. So I just made a raven type Aarakocra. Does one cancel out the other? But the Kinku actually have, I think they have like completely separate abilities, because they're, I forget, I think they're like more magical. I don't know. I have to look at that one too. So I might have to redo the whole raven thing. Or they're more crows. One or the other. I think it's ravens though. Kobolds. I'll come back to the Kinku. Maybe on the next episode we'll elaborate a little more. Okay, kobolds. The kobolds are probably one of my favorite races. You don't hear a lot of people say that, but it's probably one of my favorite. Like, I've played them before, like in 3.5, and he was just badass. So if a kobold NPC comes into the world, chances are he's going to be this secret badass. Forewarning, foreshadowing. So I know I touched on kobolds a little bit during the Destiny campaign with the wars on the Grotok Valley, and they got pushed out. Kobolds, after the Dragon Onslaught, are not as hated as Dragonborns, but you wouldn't find anybody being friends with them. So they're kind of loners. They won't be hunted down. They won't be hunted down like Dragonborn, because people don't see a kobold as a threat, which is why they're like the perfect, I mean, even the perfect villain. It's just like nobody sees kobold as a threat. So you can find them in dark cave somewhere, slinking off. But before, during the Antecedents campaign, you'll find them more, especially in like bigger cities and stuff, because they are attracted to that stuff. They do have their own little kingdom. I haven't carved it out yet, so, but it's gonna be there. More than likely, it's gonna be in, if you can, there's a blank area on the map east of the Grey Rock Highlands, but west of the Nightglades, so it's kind of like in the middle. It's a valley below where the centaurs are. So more than likely, I'm probably going to put some there. Maybe it's the ones from the Grotok Valley. Maybe some got pushed east over the mountains, and they kind of reproduced since then, because that war was a long time ago. But outside of that, you'll find like small patches here and there, but nothing outside of that being more substantial. Now, there could be islands like out and about that are populated with kobolds. Who knows? We'll see. But they are a playable race, which they still get a negative to their strength. I believe they're the only race that I've seen so far that gets a negative to any stat. I'm going to pull that up real quick. What book was that in? Hold on, let me look at this. Let's look at this. 5e Kobold. Where is that? No, playable character. PC. Is it Volo's Guide? Ah, yes. Okay, let's go to the Volo's Guide real quick. Let's look at this thing. Someday. Kobolds. My computer's slow. I apologize. Alright, let's go. Here we go. Follows guide. Find out where they're at. See what's going to be next on our list while we're waiting for that. Lizard folk. That'd be a fun one. Ooh, that would be a good one for the marsh, actually. They can keep our Aarakocra. Or I could put the king crew there. That would be a good one for them. That might actually happen. Let's see. Kobolds. Oh, dang it. Dang it. Dang it. I know it was here. Maybe it's not in here. I know it's a negative strength. I just can't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. Alright, let's look at this. If it load. Kobolds. No. No. This thing hates me. Okay. So. Oh, that's the other thing, too. I think I was talking about to somebody before about kobolds, and the difference between the 5-eared kobolds and the 3.5 is one looks more like a canine than a reptile. But hey, what do I know? For the love of Hades, come on. Okay, I don't. It's not liking me right now. Anyway, they get a negative. I think it's the strength. So yeah, lizard folk. Let's move on. All right. Lizard folk, marshes. That just makes sense. The night glades, possibly the bog too. That would be a good one for them. Though the bog is relatively new, because it popped up after the Dragon Onslaught due to the battle at Rydell Keep. It had something to do with the Black Dragon. There's a whole story there. I don't want to go into it too much because it's possible that the Antecedents campaign could be at the Battle of Rydell Keep. So that would be a good storyline for them. And as to what happens and all that kind of fun stuff. So maybe after the Dragon Onslaught colony kind of migrated over from the Night Glades to the bog. And then of course any... Uh-oh. Sorry, I just turned my mic really high. And of course, like any places like the Three Isles Lake might have a small colony. Any of the rivers, stuff like that. But the main colony is probably going to be set in the marsh areas. Orcs. Okay. When I created Eableon, this little island popped up down here in the south, like the southeast, called Ukruk. No, I cannot give away anything that happens, except for you all die. I'm joking. It's not my goal to kill you all, actually. My goal is for you guys to have fun. If I throw something at you, and you decide to fight it instead of running away, knowing you can't win, I can't be held responsible for that. I just want to throw that out there. Keep that in mind. I think it was one of the campaigns when I first got back into D&D after a long hiatus was 3.5. I ran a campaign, and at the time she was my fiance. She said, "Ooh, I want to fight a dragon." So I built this like elaborate story centered around this dragon, like polymorphed, looking for an artifact. And so they go through this whole story to get it, and they go through a whole tunnel, or not tunnel, but like a temple complex, and they get it, and they come back out, and then there he is. I had given subtle hints, and that's another thing I'll do too, and apparently nobody picks up on my subtle hints as to what's to come. They knew he was something, but they didn't know what he was, even though I pretty much laid everything out. So they go to attack him because he basically demanded the item, and they attack him. And he immediately polymorphs into his dragon self and wipes out like half the party with his dragon breath. Beats them down, and then goes and takes the item and leaves. Leaves them for dead. And it was actually by the luck of the dice rolls, they survived. One survived, and he had enough time to get to each one just before they finished their their death saves, before they got knocked all the way down. So he revived the whole party. And then she got mad at me. To my defense, she wanted to meet a dragon. She met a dragon. I mean, that's how it goes. Anyway, so yeah, all right. So so now I can't use that polymorph dragon story, by the way, because you're gonna know. But at the moment, there's no dragons in the Destiny campaign, but there could be dragons in the Antecedents campaign. Keep that in mind. That's gonna be fun. Is it a dragon? I don't know. Anyway, orcs. I kind of wanted to keep orcs separate from like goblins and orcs, or hobgoblins and all that stuff. So I decided to put orcs on an island by themselves, and it's called Ukruk. Yeah, UK apostrophe RUK. So Ukruk. They do venture to the mainland every once in a while. You might find one wandering out around and all that kind of fun stuff, but you won't find war parties and stuff like that. This kills me. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Haha. Oh no, I didn't turn it off. Anyway, at least once per game, or once per session that I'm online or something, that happens. I keep forgetting to turn it off and take the batteries out. Anyway, so long ago, and this could be, once again, another story for the Antecedents to tell, because I like the way this is going to set up. Long ago, the orcs decided, or maybe were forced, to live on Ukruk by themselves, away from the rest of society. But enough time has passed that if you see one in like the streets of Serenity, or wandering around the halls of Dragon's Bluff or something like that, people wouldn't freak out about it. So maybe, there was this orc invasion a long time ago or something like that, and then the world kind of come together and push them all back, and those that survived are now in Ukruk. Maybe they took away, I don't know, I have to elaborate on that a little more. But anyway, if somebody wanted to play an orc, they would be from Ukruk. Very seldom, like I said, do they come out. There are half orcs around the world, so they got to come from somewhere, but that's where your main colony is. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's fantasy world. It's got to make sense. Oops, wrong one. Okay. I said I was going to go to like 3 or 4, but I think I'm going to end up going through this entire list. Okay. Cat people. Tabby cats. I have a problem with them. And this is one of my issues. When I look at them, I don't see them as being, they're cat-like, but I think when I always think of that, I think of like tigers and stuff like that. That's more, I don't know. I see the little the tiny ones, and I think of Tabazoo. Is that really how they sound? They're Tabazoo. How is that? How is an I-O? But anyway, I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna call them tabby cats for now. They have a home in this world. It's a very small home, and I'm thinking about them more like a jaguar type, because I had them set up to be on the Isle of Serpents. With the Yanti, actually. I made that up. Tabizai, tabbies. So when I think of them, I think of more like I said, jaguars. So the Isle of Serpents is kind of like a tropical island, and I wanted to have some kind of a conflict on there for when the PCs went down there. So I populated the island with the tabbies and the Yanti. So there's a little bit of like diversity there. Could they be elsewhere in the world? Sure. They'd probably be in cities and stuff, where when I think of them, I see them as like more of a roguish type just because of the dexterity, and I'm being stereotypical, but yeah, it is what it is. So let's go. We're gonna go. Oh, that's the other thing. One of the things I haven't actually touched on is the Crescent Owls, and there's a good reason for that, because that's going to take an entire episode of Grimshaws Tavern, just because it's one race, but a bunch of different subspecies, and it's going to be fun. So that's going to be another one. Tieflings, you can find those around the world. Tritons, I have to look into that one and see. Let's go. Yantis. Aha. Oh yeah. Let's do some mini games. Roulette is one. Oops. If I can spell roulette. Haha. I can't win my own games. Oh, I did win. Son of a... Let's do this. Is the giveaway still working? The giveaway is still up. Outstanding. No, I'm not entering my own giveaway. Okay. Yanti Purebloods. They're a very powerful race. I don't know if you've actually looked at them before, but that's kind of why I also wanted to limit them. So they're from the Isle of Serpents. The reason it's even called the Isle of Serpents is because of the when it was discovered, there was a silver dragon that was actually living on it. And then, of course, the Yantis and stuff, they actually revered him. So, which doesn't make sense, because typically your Yanti, or people always associate them with being more evil. But the silver dragon is supposedly good. So, there's a whole dynamic working there. So anyway, I kind of wanted to limit where they're from, and if somebody were to want to play those, you would have to make it make sense as to even how you got there in the first place, because they get some ridiculous powers as a race. Let me go through this and see, because I know I got the right book pulled up for that one. I know one of them is poison. I think they get a snake. No, they can talk to snakes, so you could technically have a snake familiar without even having the spell for it. Let's see. Let's pull this up. Yanti. Let me choose. I was actually gonna play one, and then I decided against it. Yanti. You know what? I might be in the wrong spot. That might have been why I couldn't find it earlier. Symbols. Yep, I'm in the wrong spot. Let's look at this real quick. Oh, there's a Kinku. Haha. Alright. Tabazi. See, they just look really skinny. Oh, there's the Tritons and Yantis. Okay, Kobolds. Here we go. One of the ones I was talking about earlier was Kobolds. They get so you get a +2 in strength, or I'm sorry, +2 in dexterity, but your strength is reduced by 2, whereas all of the other races, or the majority of them, get like an increase of 2, and then an increase of 1 in some other stat. As far as I know, like the only ones I've seen, the Kobolds are the only ones that get a decrease in a stat, and I get it because they're kobolds. But why wouldn't you do something like that for like halflings or gnomes? I've even thought about doing, if I win, can I give the spots away? Yes, you could if you wanted to. If one of my players win and they want to give their spots away, yes, you can. In the giveaway, sorry. So that was one of the things I thought about before, because you have goblins. Even a goblin gets a +2 in dexterity and an increase in constitution. But size-wise, to me, they're about the same. They're a little bit shorter. So 3 to 4 feet for a goblin, 2 to 3 feet for a kobold. And then pounds-wise, it's still, I don't know. I don't like the way they wrote that, but that's just me. I might end up changing that if somebody wanted to play that. So, going back, Yanti. So check this out for a second. You get an increase of charisma +2 and intelligence +1, and then you get dark vision. You get innate spell casting. So you get the poison spray cantrip. So poison spray at will. Huh. Okay. Then you get cast animal friendship and can't talk. An unlimited number of times as long as you target a snake with it. So let's say you go into a town or a city or something, or hell, you're out in the wilds, you find a pit viper and cast animal friendship on it. Okay, you got a familiar. You have a snake familiar, a venomous snake familiar. You can't ask it to do like go into harm's way and stuff, but you can do other things with it. You can have fun with it. Okay, the next thing, magical resistance. You have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. It doesn't limit you on any of them. It says you have advantage on all of them. Poison immunity. So I can see this shaping up into a great assassin. Well, hell, a fighter that puts poison on his blades, because you never have to worry about it. Hell, you have your own pit viper that you can use to milk him every day and get your poison right there. No need to go out and hunt it. And you're immune to poison damage and the poisoned condition. Sorry, I said that, but the poison condition. And then you can speak, read, and write Common, Abyssal, and Draconic. So that's 3 languages right off the bat. Then you can turn around and get, 1 or 2 more, depending on what background you get. That's just insanely powerful to me. So if somebody were to want to play one of those, I would allow it, but you have to make it make sense as to how you got off of this island. Because that would be interesting to see anyway. Alright, moving on. Changelings are allowed. So that would be an interesting one. Actually, I think it's do not let you sign up. The previous one, correct? Alright, the last giveaway post does not let you sign up. The previous is correct. Interesting. Okay, so one of them is when I do the giveaway. So tell me something. Does this one work? Giveaway. Does that one take you where you need to go? Let's check. Loading giveaway. Okay, so that one lets you get... What was that race? I am not telling you what race that was. No, it was the Yanti. The Yanti Pureblood, to be exact. And it's in the Volo's Guide. So, yes, very powerful race. Alright, moving on. Changeling, like I said, they can be around. Minotaurs, I haven't decided on Minotaurs where they're going to be. Most people stick to Minotaurs being like sailors and stuff like that, or at least most campaign settings. Sailors and stuff, or something to do with mazes and stuff like that. I haven't 100% decided on that one yet. I did make a campaign world where Minotaurs were like Vikings, and they had their own like continent, and they would, periodically raid and stuff like that, just to throw in something, just to have different monsters every once in a while, or like if the players were in port towns, that kind of stuff, just for the heck of it. Revenants, I'm gonna have to come back to. Shifters, so changelings, revenants. Actually, revenant is what's the one with Strahd in it? I think that's where they're from. I have to read about them. Shifters and Warforged. Now, at the moment, Warforged don't exist. I put them on this list because it's possible that they could eventually be introduced, but at the moment they don't. Shifters, oops, I think I messed that up. Shifters I'm going to have to come back to as well. They kind of got to be like changelings. They kind of like, they'll probably exist at some point. And then there's like actually a bunch of races that I haven't even looked into yet that are from the, what is it? What's the Magic the Gathering stuff? I think Planeswalkers or Plains, something Plains. But like, I think it's Aetherborn, the Avens, and a bunch of different humans and elves and stuff that I have to look into. So, yeah. So I think the next episode I'm going to read up on the Firebulg, Goliaths, Ghostwise Halflings, the Kinku, the Tritons, Revenants, and Warforged, and probably do something with the Changelings and Shifters. Probably more Shifters than anything. Changelings, kind of, that's what they do. They change what they look like, so you can't really... I feel like they're more like solo creatures anyway, just by nature. Alright, so the Valinari. I don't think I ever went into full detail about the Valinari either, other than the fact they're from the Veld Forest, which is north of Dragon's Bluff. Actually, it's kind of close to where the Destiny campaign is right now, and it's where Belfrire's from. I know I talked about it before, that it was a huge forest and it kind of shrunk up, and there's other forests since popped up, but they're not as distinct as the Veiled Forest, because there's like this mist that flows through it. But anyway, nobody's gone in there yet, except for Belfire. Alright, races. Anything else I want to talk about race-wise? I think that's all I'm going to touch on this one, because this would be part 1. So we talked about them a little bit. Part 2 will be next week, where I talk about the rest of them. And what else do we want to talk about next week? I'm going to actually leave that open, because something will pop up between Tuesday's Antecedents and Wednesday's Destiny. Something will pop up. I know it will. I have faith in you guys. Sorry, that was kind of funny. I do have faith in you, though. Just don't die. That's all I ask. So yeah, so at that point, I'm going to remind everybody about the giveaway. Giving away 2 books, a t-shirt, 3 guest spots, and I think that's it. I think that's enough. It wasn't meant to be a sly, I'm sorry. It was meant to be a good thing, I promise. I have faith in you guys. I do. So, giveaway. So yeah, 300 gold for a ticket to get into it. You get 500 gold for following. I think it's... I won't, but I'm sure about the rest. Sorry. Hey, you're the only one here, so you get inspiration starting out the next adventure. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So remember that. Just remind me tomorrow that you get inspiration, because I'll forget. I have a horrible memory. You're supposed to have a great memory as a DM, but I have a horrible one. That's why I have notes for days. Where's my notebook? See, I can't even find my notebook. It's somewhere. Let's see. Ah, yes, there it is. Yes, yes. Look. Notes. Oh, my lovely notes. I wrote this in McDonald's while I was waiting to get my kids the other day. It's about the antecedents campaign. It was funny. But now I have it all on a Google Doc. Anyway. Oh, real quick. No idea. Rhino hide. Satyrs versus fawns. Which is cooler? I don't get the reference. Is there a reference? I'm waiting. I gotta see what this is about. Doop, doop, doop. Oh. No, go away. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so while I'm waiting for him to respond, I gotta see what this is. Which is cooler? Oh, so you're asking as far as like a player character, satyrs or fawns? Huh. Well, I think of a fawn as a deer. Is that what I'm thinking, or is it something else? Now I gotta look this up. I see the satyrs. It's Unearthed Arcana. Let's see. Well, I guess it would have to be which one you're going with. Personally, I would say a satyr, but that's just me. Wow, that would be a powerful PC. What's the rest of your PCs? I gotta hear this one. Let's see what monsters, because I think there was a campaign that was gonna play in where we were given a list of monstrous races that we could be, and I was almost a Yanti then, but I ended up being there was a 5e. Somebody came out with an Oriental one, and it was the what was it? It was the ones that could shapeshift, and I had one that could shapeshift into a sparrow, but I never got to use it because we did one adventure and then our DM quit on us. So it kind of sucked, but I like stuff like that, but that's just me. So the satyr would be fun, but not the Perseus Jackson ones. I did not like those satyrs. Now you got me thinking. So anyway, tomorrow, episode 1 of, I say tomorrow, Tuesday, episode 1 of the Antecedents campaign starts at 7. I know those guys are excited about that. I'm excited about it. I have a very interesting story, and it's going to be an interesting start to it. It's going to be different than what I've done before. There's going to be a chance they won't even do any combat. I have a half-orc ranger, a human wizard, a changeling sorcerer, a centaur fighter, and a half-elk cleric. The centaur fighter is going to be interesting. Now, does anybody ride on the centaur fighter? Granted, centaurs would be like, no, get off of me. So technically, you should be. Let's see. Alright. Changeling sorcerer. So which one is the satyr going to be? Is he going to be, like, what class is he planning on being? I feel like you guys, 2 human wizards. Oh, you're talking about an art campaign. Antecedents tomorrow. He's not very happy when yeah, I would imagine if I was a centaur too, I wouldn't be too happy about people jumping on my back and riding me. I think that would be, I would feel a little violated, I think, if I was that character. Yeah. Here's a question for you guys. She wanted to be a barbarian or a bard. She wasn't sure which. Okay, so if she's doing the satyr, I would think the bard, just because it would enhance her natural abilities. Just with the whole I don't know, like Sadar being charming and all that kind of thing. The way they lure people with their music playing and all that. So he's just listening. That's what I think. Anyway, I, if I would go barbarian, I have to look at the stats on the fawn to see what their like other abilities are. But if I was gonna do Sadar, I'd definitely go bard, or maybe like even warlock would be interesting because the packs and Sadars and their heritage and everything, you could get a good backstory going there. That might be a good one. But it would be different to see a barbarian Satar. What level are they starting out at? Just out of curiosity. Because I know the antecedents are starting out at level 5. That's going to be fun. I think we're going to add another layer into it. Starting at 3. Yeah, 3rd level is always good, with especially with 5e, because 5e you get all those different paths and stuff, so you get to develop more of your character. And especially in the beginning when you're doing your backstory, because like with the warlock you get to, you know, is it, I know the rogue is a path, I think the barbarian's a totem. 3rd's a good one because you always get like the higher level stuff, like the stuff that really defines the characters in their early levels. If that makes sense. Let's see. And my next question is, what setting are you guys using for those characters? Level 3, Sadar, Bard, Warlock. Well, actually, where's the other ones? If you have a wizard and a sorcerer, do you really need a warlock? You have a ranger and a fighter and a cleric. But you don't have... I think a bard. Bard's going to be more well-rounded. Rail. Alright. Let's try this. It's a full homebrew world. Nothing wrong with that. That's what this is. That's why we're here. Building a world online. Trying to, anyway. Alright. So, if you don't have any more questions for me, I'm gonna do my little closing argument, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So, so feel free to ask while I'm doing this. Already talked about the campaign, already talked about the giveaway. The giveaway is a big one. It's running until the 18th. So you have a month and a half to enter. No problem. Make sure you come back tomorrow, because Vinny is one of the players, and he's going to be here tomorrow night playing a human wizard, I believe, if I remember that correctly. And they're going to be in the antecedents. They're going to be 2 years before the Dragon Onslaught, so you get to see what the world looked like before the dragons did all their damage and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, so stay tuned. Hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you guys next time.